everyone, welcome back to my channel, SW Web Books. My name is Charisse, and we have the fabulous Krista back on.
Hey!
Now,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always. So we were actually trying to start a book club, and our book club started with 4 of us, and we waited until everyone was done reading the book. But now it ended up with 2 of us. So hey, we're gonna do a 2.
Here we are.
We made
back
it.
at it.
And the book we're talking about is Quicksilver.
Yes.
So, Quicksilver had a ton of hype when it first came out. Everyone was like, oh, best Shadow Daddy ever, best book I ever read. And it had so much hype. And then there was the group that came out and were like, this book is overhyped. You guys are crazy. And so I had low expectations going into this book. I didn't want to go in hyped. And I'm glad I did. How about you? Did you have high or low expectations on this book when you started it?
First of all, I don't want to sound too much like a California girl, but when you told me to read Quicksilver, I was seeing this movie, a surfing book. So I was just rolling with it. I'm like, okay, my sister wants me to read a book. I'm just going to do it. And then when I started reading it, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. But my expectations were like, I'm about to read. And then when I saw the cover, obviously, I was like, okay. But I grew up in California, my mind.
The Quicksilver brand.
I literally had
just for the clear
zero
non-Californians
expectations.
that don't know that.
Yes, sorry. Full disclaimer, surfing brand is Quicksilver. Or maybe not, I don't know. But for some reason my mind went to surfer. So here I am. And then when I opened it and started reading, it was a great surprise.
Now, we both read this book did an audiobook. So we didn't physically read it. And I kind of feel like my review might be a little different if I would have read it, because I thought this was the most entertaining audiobook I have ever read, or listened to. Like, I was thoroughly entertained, and it wasn't even a graphic audio. It was just, it had multiple voices, which is always nice.
Yeah.
It didn't have all the extra music and sound effects, but I was so entertained on this one. I didn't get bored, and it's a long one. It's like 20 hours.
Yeah. Which for me, so for my audiobook, I was going on a road trip. My road trip was 16 hours, got home, listened to the book the entire 16-hour drive, got home, and kept listening because I was so into it. So if that's not telling enough.
Okay, so what would you give this book on, like, an entertainment value?
Entertainment, I would give 4 out of 5.
4? I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5 for entertainment. It was like some of these books, some of these books, especially the 20-hour books, I really love, and I'm like, oh, this book's so good. But then I got to like really push through. Like, I want to finish it. And this book was one where I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes. I'm going to put my audiobook on. Like, any extra minute I had, like, oh, I got to run to the grocery store that's 3 minutes down the street just to put my audiobook on and maybe sit there and listen to it for extra 10 minutes before I go in the store. Yeah. So I'm going to give this one a 5-star in just the rating of entertainment value for me.
I agree. With that explanation, I could totally agree with that.
Yeah. And then, so how do you feel about that? Like, what would you rate it as far as like the storyline goes?
As far as the storyline, I didn't think it was anything like overly special, or, essentially you have the male kind of damsel in distress, but she's strong and powerful. So I would say 3 out of 5.
I'm kind of with you. I was going between a 3 and a 4. So I'm going to say 3.5 stars as far as storyline. And so that's how I kind of get the people that are like, I don't understand the hype. And I think if I would have read it, I might have felt that way. Like I said, I was just really entertained. So it was really good for me. Yeah. And it was a good story. There's nothing wrong with the story. It's just not like a super original story. There were some original parts. But, actually, I'm going to stop here and say that we are going to give spoilers. So if you haven't read the book and you want to read the book, probably should stop the video now, read the book, come back on and see if you agree with us or not. So I do want to throw that out there because I don't want to get mad that we gave you some spoilers. We're going to try to use code words instead of like the real thing. But, it might have a slip up. So anyways, like I was saying, the storyline to me, like, it's another girl who's the oldest child, who's taking care of her younger siblings because their mom's dead. Usually it's either the mom's dead or a parent's unable. That is just like seems to be the plot for everything these days, is the oldest sister taking care of the younger brother who's a troublemaker, and she's always getting him out of trouble. Well, this time she couldn't save him. Well, she saved him to sacrifice herself, which is also not the most unique story. Now,
to be honest, the fact when I was reading that, I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
Oh, you thought she wasn't going to be able to?
I thought they were going to take them both in. Like when I was originally reading it, I was thinking like, what's the harm in?
And that's true. I didn't really think of that, because the way they make these soldiers out is like they'll just kill you on the street for no reason.
Yeah.
And like why didn't they just stab the brother and be like, well, you were in possession of this
I didn't get that
item, and they just let him go. And then later on you find out he just has some like great life out of nowhere. That was like, I don't get. So she's like taken away. All she wants to do is save her brother, and then she finds out her brother is living some great life all of a sudden out of nowhere. And you're like, how and why? That didn't make any sense to me.
It was because of Carrion.
No, I don't. What did Carrion get him that job?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, it was Carrion. Okay, well, even still, I'm just a little confused about it.
Yeah,
how come Carrion didn't help them prior?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
but he always kind of had like this soft spot for her.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. I don't know. I still was kind of like, that makes sense.
You might have to
it makes sense in a sense.
Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
No, I know. We should go back.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just, I don't know. That part was kind of all right. And again, for the story aspect, the story aspect that you want her to be like, okay, my brother's okay, so I'm going to come stay here and fight and help. Another plot.
But that's not what happened, though. She kept wanting to go back. And that was frustrating.
Then when she did for a minute, and then she was like, okay, I'm going to stay here and fight.
At the very end.
Not the very end.
Like, really? I feel like the whole book, she's like, I just want to go back. I just want to go back. And I'm like, oh my God, your life is so much better now.
No, because she was like, I secretly want to stay. Once the Shadow Daddy, Kingfisher, showed his true colors, she was like, oh, my brother's fine. I'm going to stay here with him.
Okay. I hear you there.
And let's speaking of Shadow Daddies, let's talk about Kingfisher. So on a scale, we'll do 5-star rating. On a 5-star rating, how do you feel about Shadow Daddy Kingfisher? Would he like persuade you to be your Shadow Daddy? Or?
Oh yeah, you know me. I always go for my dark side men, so I'd probably be a 5 out of 5 for me.
I don't know. I felt he was so cliche.
So cliche. Oh yeah, so cliche.
He's too cliche for me.
The nickname got me. Oh, so cute.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's true.
Yeah. I obsessed about the nickname Osha, which was the butterfly. And then at first he said, oh, it's because you're weak and you're going to die. But then later it's, no, this is like an elaborate, beautiful name. And it's because warriors go and like protect these butterflies. And it's a great honor. I'm like, oh my God, I want a nickname like that. Like after I read this book, I told my husband, I'm like, you need to find a cute nickname for me and call me all the time. But,
You like those smooth talkers.
I do. Yes.
Maybe that's why I wasn't feeling Kingfisher. I liked Carrion better, but I'm more of a banter person. I like the pokey.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I could totally see that. Yeah.
I'm more into the like make fun of kind of like joke around. Like I don't know what to do with a smooth talker. So and Carrion, it was weird. So Carrion, let's talk a little about him and his character. Like that was really weird. The whole time we're all thinking like, why the heck is Carrion here? Like, why is he here?
He's got to do something with this guy.
What's the point?
Come on. Yeah.
And I have to say, like, his twist at the end was worth reading just for, like, the whole book. It's just worth reading just to find out how Carrion is placed in this world. And that was, like, a huge wow moment. And I don't feel like you get a lot of those, oh my gosh, moments these days with fantasy novels.
Yeah. Which he would also help like make the book a little more fun and lighthearted, and like even all these like dangerous battles. He was just kind of
he was definitely like the comic relief in the book.
It wasn't like the team ended up like, I feel like really appreciating that, and I don't know, I did as a reader, because at first when they brought him, I was like, what? okay, this guy's got to be something. And I'm like, he's nothing. They're like,
Yeah.
okay. But it actually made the book really fun.
But I did like the fact that it wasn't predictable. I hate a predictable book. And maybe that's why I love this book so much, because that part wasn't predictable. Obviously, like, and also the fact that Osha, as you like to call her, she has a special gift that no one has had in millions of years. Like, yeah, because that's a really original storyline as well. Everyone's got those special gifts, those one in a million years special gifts.
The only person
that can manipulate metal, a metal.
But so did Carrion. So that was
Carrion couldn't do anything with metal.
No, but his blood.
What? His secret?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Because he was the only one in existence that could do that, or that they knew in existence.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, her, to be honest, like, Osha and Kingfisher, their storyline wasn't really the best part of the book. And I really enjoyed all the side characters of the book. Like, even his soldiers. And, like, I enjoyed all that maybe even more than the actual, like, main characters in the book.
Ooh, what did you think about the parts when it came to, like, her eating at the table, and it was this whole concept of, like, explaining that, like, she had to end, and then she decided to sit right next to him, and everyone was like, ah! Like, what did you think of that?
Oh, I knew right away what they were implying. I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was hilarious that he was like, "It's okay, yeah."
Because she's all like confident, like, "Oh, I'm sitting here," and everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
I did like that. I did think that was like good by the author.
Their relationship was good, and you know, I did appreciate the fact that she wasn't a super whiny. Like, she was a little whiny, but not as whiny as some of the other heroines out there.
Agreed.
She was more desperate to me than, like, just whiny. And then when she like kind of got on the page, and you know, she was good.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you do you think you'll be looking forward to the second book, or are you like satisfied with the first book and you're like, okay, like,
that's the thing, I'm satisfied. I don't know. Like, I would probably read the second book, but
you're not going to be waiting until midnight till it comes out.
Well, here's the thing: is like when we were talking about like storylines, like the storyline wasn't unique, but I will admit there was several twists and turns that I did not predict, which doesn't normally happen. And so the fact that I could get to this end of the book and still be surprised was like, yes. How she would pull that off in the second book, I don't know.
Hey, that just means she's a really great, more unique author, and I really appreciate a good unique author, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I liked that you felt satisfied in the end, even though there were some cliffhangers. I don't even know if there's really cliffhangers. It was wrapped up, but it was also like, okay, next book's the next adventure.
Yeah.
You know? And I like that. I'm kind of getting over the cliffhangers at the end where you're like, oh, dang, I have to read the next book.
Yeah.
And I know that's what they want you to do. But I like ending a book and feeling satisfied. Because some books, if they weren't good enough for me, then I'm like, well, I'm not reading the second book. I'm done with that series.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially being like ending with being satisfied. I would say it gives me more of a tie to want to read the second book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me too.
But that's just like my personality. It's kind of like how you mentioned one of your videos before. Like if somebody says you have to read this book, it's like, makes me not want to read it. And that's how I feel with a cliffhanger. If you're like leaving me on this cliffhanger, I'm like, But if you leave me like, okay, that was good, I'm like, yeah, okay, go for the second book.
And to be honest, I thought you were going to hate this book because you vetoed a lot of the fantasy books I have recommended to you.
It's true.
And I was like, all right, Chris is going to hate this one, but we're doing it for our book club. So you were like, all right, fine, I'll do it.
I was a team player. I did it.
You were a very team player. And then you surprisingly loved it, which I think is hilarious. Because let me tell you, people, I have recommended so many books to Krista that are like hot fantasy. And she's like, no, that was like this one right behind me.
Hey, I'm unique.
No, and that's what I mean. Obviously, that's what I love about reading is everyone has their own opinions and everyone like has their own taste, and that's why we have thousands and thousands of books out there.
Yeah,
and I love debating. Like I was hoping a little bit more that you would hate it, so we could really debate. I was surprised that we're actually like sitting here agreeing with each other.
I know. Well, one of our book come overs who was supposed to join, she wasn't into it. So we are really looking forward to like kind of
I
her
know.
like more pessimistic
Yeah.
view on it. But dang. So we're just gonna be optimistic and say how much we love it. But there will be books where we will disagree. That is for sure in the future.
Oh, I know. I thought for sure this was one of them. Like I thought for sure I was like, Krista vetoed all my other books, and yeah, now you loved it. So it was surprising to me, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to the second one coming out, and we'll see if we are just as excited about it or not.
We'll see. Now, when you're
Is there
talking
anything
about
else you want to
audiobooks,
add?
yeah, because I love my audiobooks. I love audiobooks. Was there a character voice that stood out, that, like made you love that character because of the voice?
Um, no, but I did like Kingfisher's like dark and broody
Yeah,
voice that they did for him, because sometimes it's literally just sounds like a male reading
yeah,
rather than a character, and I think that's why it was so entertaining, is because all the voices were like characters, like it
yeah,
was literally like you were watching a movie. It's not just like someone reading it to you in a male or female voices, like they were acting while they were reading it. And yeah, I really did appreciate I got that he was dark and broody. I
yep.
appreciated that the voice actor like took that to heart when he was reading it, because then it just kind of added that extra like
It did.
mysterious, that extra like you could almost just hear his like frustrations and angers while he was reading it. And that's why I love a good female voice actress, when she does the like voice inflex where you can tell like you can totally feel the emotion, like.
Yes.
And maybe that's why I loved it so much on audio, is because I could like feel all the characters' emotions through their voices.
So true. And then my next point, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like every vampire that's been around for centuries, for some reason, his name is Marcus. And I don't know if that's just me or if this is like a trend. Or am I the only one picking up on this? Like, please comment if you agree. And I don't know why, but I always feel like every vampire, there's a Marcus.
I'm gonna have to Google this. I'm gonna have to Google this. That's so funny.
I don't know. Well, and I just have it. I was reading another book at the same time, and of course, there's a vampire named Marcus. And then all of a sudden, I picked up on like, there's a Marcus in Underworld, the movies. There's a Marcus here, and I'm like,
oh, you know what else has? I'm pretty sure in the Vampire Diaries has a Marcus, a very powerful Marcus. I'm pretty sure. It's been a really long time.
So clearly, there's some vibes with vampire and a Marcus.
We have to Google this. That is a very interesting thought. I didn't even. Yeah. I know Marcus is kind of like a popular name that's used in books, but like really, if you're ancient, why don't you have some cool ancient name? Why Marcus?
Yeah. I know. Unless maybe that is an ancient name. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a name that's been around for all times.
Yeah. Which I did like the names in the book, which I'm kind of like weird about that.
I thought you didn't like the main female character's name.
Oh, no, but I call her Osha. So.
Oh, yeah.
I renamed her. Which I do that. Like, even if I'm physically reading
I wanted to call her Siri.
Oh, I could see that.
Serious. What kind of name is that? I don't know. I think it was, I think they said something about her name is some, like, ancient name in their language or something like. I think there was a reference to that name, but yeah, I didn't.
But didn't care. Didn't stick with me. And then the sister, was it Everline?
Yes, I really love that name. I like, dang, if I had a daughter, that would be a nice name. That's a cute name.
Since reading that book, that name has been ringing in my head. I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was really cute.
It was. I thought the same thing with that name. I was like, I really actually like this name as a name.
Yeah.
For a kid.
It helps me connect like with the characters more when I like their names, or when I feel like, I don't know, there was such a sweetness with that character that like transcends through the words, which was really nice. Like I really felt like in this book you got to know each character and like who they would be.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. Like I actually think the side characters I fell in love with more than the two main characters.
Yeah. And the Irish guy,
bad thing.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
And he was only Irish through the audio book, or it was like Scottish probably, or Irish. I don't know the difference.
Yeah.
But I loved him.
I know he was the only one with the accent.
you remember his name? Can't remember his name.
That was one of the names I did not write down. Sorry.
Ah.
I try to take notes so we don't forget things, but
Well, it was King
that was one I
Fisher's
did. I wrote down
second
everyone
hand.
else's name.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
It was all around a really good book. And now that we're talking about, it, I'm like, my scores are probably higher than when, like now that we're talking about, it, I'm like, no, five's all around.
Maybe the story would get a 4, originality would get a 3.
Yeah, and like I said, the only reason what I think that made it different was that there was some twists and turns. Where like most of these
that
books
were
are like
unpredictable.
Unpredictable. So keep it up, and if there's a second book, I really hope we get more twists and turns.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Please like and subscribe. We will be doing a monthly book club every month, and we're hoping to eventually do it live so we can all have comments with people watching it. Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a good one. Bye.